success.
Meanwhile, one of Bangladesh's leading daily newspaper, the Daily Star, reported that Hindu homes and businesses were under attack, at least in 27 districts of Bangladesh. The writers apparently vandalized and plundered the homes of Hindus living in the Lalmonirhat Sadar district. Homes of 4 Hindu families were also reportedly vandalized and looted in the Chandrapur village in the Kaliganj sub-district.
सर एक बात बताएं कि आप लोगों के पास कुछ ऐसा डेटा वगैरह आया है जिससे ये पता चले कि कितने हिंदू मंदिर और क्या उनका वेंडलाइजेशन से लेकर किस तरह की वहाँ पे तस्वीर देखने को मिल रही है?
इसका एक बहुत एग्जैक्ट डाटा आना इतनी जल्दी पॉसिबल नहीं था, पर हमारे पास में ये कंफर्म्ड है कि बांग्लादेश के हर जिले में माइनॉरिटीज को निशाना बनाया गया है, उनके घरों को, उनके कमर्शियल एस्टेब्लिशमेंट्स को और मंदिर गुरुद्वारों को। और क्योंकि ये सारे बांग्लादेश में हो रहा है, इसलिए ये चिंता की बात है। आंदोलन का लक्ष्य पूरा हो गया है, उनकी मांगे मान ली गई हैं। अब ये वायलेंस क्यों हो रहा है? आईएसआई की प्रेरणा से वहाँ के कुछ सेक्शंस को भड़का करके हिंदुओं को निशाना क्यों बनाया जा रहा है? एक समय वहाँ 32% थे हिंदू, आज 8% है। वर्ल्ड की सिविल सोसाइटी, विश्व के इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, सबको अपना दबाव बनाना होगा, सबको अपना रोल अदा करना पड़ेगा। और क्योंकि हम इमीडिएट नेबर हैं, इसलिए भारत इसकी जिम्मेवारी ज़्यादा है। हम सरकार से कहेंगे हर तरह का, हर संभव प्रयत्न करके वहाँ के अल्पसंख्यकों को, हिंदूज को, सिख्स को, जैन बौद्ध को, क्रिश्चियंस को सुरक्षा की व्यवस्था करें।
According to reports, an ISKCON and a Kali temple were also vandalized. ISKCON's India national spokesperson, Yudhishthir Govindadas, tweeted, and I quote him here. He said, "As per the info I have received, one of our ISKCON center that is rented in Meherpur in Khulna division was burnt, including with the deities of Lord Jagannatha, Baladeva and Subhadra Devi. 3 devotees who lived in the center somehow managed to escape and survived." The media also reported that Haradan Roy, a Hindu councillor from Rangpur, was among the 100 people who lost their lives during the so-called students' riots in the neighbouring country. Of course, a few killings have also come to light. Kajol Roy, the leader of the Hindu Buddhist Christian Unity Council, was killed. But it is being said that one of the first to die in this troubled times was Hindu Awami League leader Haradan Roy and his nephew, who were lynched by a mob.
বাংলাদেশে হিন্দু কোতল চলছে। রংপুরের কাউন্সিলর নগর পরিষদের হারাধন নায়ক, তাকে খুন করা হয়েছে। সিরাজগঞ্জে 13 জন পুলিশ খুন হয়েছে, থানার মধ্যে 9 জন হিন্দু। নোয়াখালীতে হিন্দু বাড়ি পোড়ানো হয়েছে। আমি পশ্চিমবঙ্গের মুখ্যমন্ত্রী রাজ্যপালকে বলবো, অবিলম্বে ভারত সরকারের সঙ্গে কথা বলুন, কারণ সিএতে পরিষ্কার আছে ধর্মীয় উৎপীড়নের কারণে যদি কাউকে মার খেয়ে আসতে হয় আমাদের দেশ নেবে। এটা অলরেডি পার্লামেন্ট করেছে। আমি আপনাকে বলছি, এই পরিস্থিতি যদি 3 দিনের মধ্যে কন্ট্রোল না হয়, জামাতের হাতে, মৌলবাদীদের হাতে বাংলাদেশ যাচ্ছে। 1 কোটির বেশি হিন্দু শরণার্থীকে নেওয়ার জন্য সবাই মানসিক প্রস্তুতি নেন। আমি তো প্রস্তুতি নিয়ে নিয়েছি।
কেন্দ্রকে জানাচ্ছেন
না, এটা এক্সটার্নাল অ্যাফেয়ার্স ম্যাটার, এটা রাজ্য সরকারকে, রাজ্যপালকে জানাতে হবে। আমি দরকার হলে লিখবো, জয়শঙ্করজিকে ডাইরেক্ট করতে পারি না। তো আমি পশ্চিমবাংলার হিন্দুদেরকে অনুরোধ করব, যার যেখানে জায়গা জমি যা আছে আমাদের হিন্দু ভাইদের শরণার্থী হিসেবে রাখার জন্য।
With anger simmering against Sheikh Hasina, and particularly even as she has taken temporary refuge in our country, despite Jamaat's assurances that minorities shall remain safe in Bangladesh, will Hindus be protected in strife-ridden Bangladesh which is perhaps unable to adhere to international laws which govern protecting its own citizen and whatever dispensation they may belong to. TV9 has filed a ground report, and this is Ravi Shankar who filed it, where Radharani Ganguly, a Hindu woman who's living in Bangladesh, talks about this extreme harsh ordeal, and then we shall dive deep into the debate for this evening.
बांग्लादेश लिबरेशन वॉर देख चुके हैं। राधा रानी गांगुली हमारे साथ है, जो कि इस वक्त बांग्लादेश में रहते हैं, भारत में आए थे, लेकिन उनका ये गुहार है भारत सरकार उनका अपना गेट इन लोगों के लिए खोल दे। ये हिंदू है तो ये अपना परिवार लेके पश्चिम बंगाल में या तो भारत में आ जाएंगे। কি কারণ যে আপনারা আজকে বাংলাদেশ ছেড়ে ভারতে চলে আসতে চাইছেন? আপনি যে বলছেন আপনি ভারতে আসতে চাইছেন, তো আপনি আপনার পরিবার হ্যাঁ কেন ভারতে আসতে চাইছেন? কেন?
বাংলাদেশে অত্যাচার হচ্ছে, হিন্দুদের কোনো তো মূল্য নেই, দাম নেই, হিন্দুদের কোনোই দাম নেই, একটা মান সম্মান মর্যাদা কিচ্ছু নেই।
আচ্ছা, কোন জেলা থাকেন?
ঝিনাইদহ জেলা।
ঝিনাইদহ জেলা। এবার সেইখান থেকে দাঁড়িয়ে আজকে আপনি আপনার পরিবার ভারত সরকারের কাছে কি বলতে চাইছেন?
ভারত সরকারে বলছে আমাদের সম্মানে আমাদের ভারতে ঠাই দিক, যাতে আমরা বাচ্চা কাচ্চা নিয়ে আমাদের কাগজপত্র করে দিক, আমাদের আমরা সুন্দরভাবে যাতে বসবাস করতে পারি।
কিন্তু ভারত সরকার যদি আপনাকে সুযোগ দেয় আপনি এ করবেন?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
কি অবস্থায় রয়েছেন আজকে বাংলাদেশে?
বাংলাদেশের খুব ভয়াবহ অবস্থা, তুলনা করা যায় না, তুলনা করা যায় না।
কিছুক্ষণ আগে চোখের জল ফেলছিলেন, কেন? কি হলো?
কষ্ট, জন্মভূমির একটা টান আলাদা। কেন মারধর খায় মানুষ জন্মভূমি পড়ে থাকে কি জন্য জানো? সেই জায়গায় জন্ম, আমার নারী পুতা সেই দেশে আছে, সেই ভিটেই খেলাধুলা করেছি, বড় হয়েছি। বাপের পৈতৃক সম্পত্তি, বাবা মরিছে, সমাধি আছে, একটা আত্মার একটা টান আছে না, এই জন্যই তো চোখে জল এসে যায়, লাতি গুতো খাইয়েও পড়ে থাকে।
Let me now introduce you to the panelists today. Charu Chandra Prabhu, National Secretary, ISKCON Temple from Bangladesh. He's live from Dhaka with us. Shubir Bhaumik, author and senior journalist, and Suhas Chakma, Director, Rights and Risk Analysis Group. We shall also be joined by another guest, but a little later. But first up, my colleague, Executive Editor of Strategic Affairs and National Security, Aditya Raj Kaul, is with me in the studio. Let me turn to him. Aditya, we've heard about this kind of persecution that Hindus have faced in Bangladesh since, I think, the 80s. I mean, I remember when the Babri Masjid was demolished, there was a whole lot of what they called as backlash. But, you know, considering you look at the climate right now, the atmosphere is such that Sheikh Hasina is seen as pro-India. She's taken refuge in our country until, you know, further where she goes is not faced. So how do you think the persecution and the attacks on the Hindus, do you think that assumes a lot more importance now given the situation?
Well, absolutely, Sudha, there's no doubt about this. One thing is very clear, that you know, the killings or the atrocities that the Hindus and other minorities are facing in Bangladesh is not associated with one single event. It's not associated with one single person. This is a hatred that has been there for years and decades, and after every event in history, there is a so-called backlash that happens. This time around, it's because the Awami League and the Sheikh Hasina government has fallen, and that too in such a humiliating manner. And Sheikh Hasina had to in fact leave in an army helicopter and take refuge in India. That itself speaks of how much of the hatred has been there against Sheikh Hasina, and India has been seen as a close partner of Sheikh Hasina and the Awami League government for years together. Now, coming to the atrocities that the Hindus and the minorities have been facing. I haven't spoken about this because a part of my family lives in Dhaka. In fact, this was the longest time for them, but the entire family, my first cousins are in fact in Dhaka right now, locked completely for last 10 days inside their house. But, you know, I've been speaking to them. There's a lot of fear. They're on a common Telegram group of Hindus and the Indians all across Bangladesh, and there's a lot of fear. They're requesting for security assistance regularly, but at this moment, unfortunately, I have to admit today on your show that the Indian media and the international media has played lip service and been completely silent on the Hindu killings that are taking place, on the temples that have been destroyed. You know, if there was a minority killing or a minority place that was attacked in India, of even a smallest of incidents, it would have led to global headlines. From the BBC to the New York Times, and all international press would have spoken about this. Why is this hypocrisy out and open? Are Hindus and Christians and other minorities in Bangladesh lesser humans? Why not talk about them? Or are they just a casualty, collateral damage in this
Yes.
entire process of grabbing of the power? But this hatred, unfortunately, will remain. You have esteemed guests from Dhaka who will speak about
Yes.
this. I was in touch with ISKCON and other Hindu leaders who have told me that atrocities continue. Even after Sheikh Hasina has left, there are temples, there are Hindus, Hindu businesses that have been attacked. I'm not talking about this. These are victims that are talking about it. And this Bangladeshi media today, in this front page, has spoken about how Hindus are the
Daily
major
Star.
target
Yeah, Daily
of the
Star
Jamaat,
has.
of
Yeah.
the BNP,
Yes.
and the Islamists that are only going to rise up against India, unfortunately.
Very, very good question by Aditya Raj Kaul. Why the lip service? Why is it that it does not garner as much of traction when it happens with other religious groups? And we here at TV9 always adhere to what is called the rule of equality. Charu Chandra Prabhuji, let me come to you first, sir, and I want you to please, share with, because we've run some visuals, but I want you to talk about it, Charu Chandra Prabhuji, the way the ISKCON temple was vandalized. Where did it happen, and at what time did it take place, and were you given enough assurances of security and safety, sir?
Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, sir.
This is our ISKCON temple in Meherpur. There's attack yesterday. That is so many people comes. I don't know who are coming. So many thousand people come, and then they attacked our rented temple in Meherpur, and they put fire and also burned out all the temples and everything. But there is deity Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, Maharani. They burned out, and our devotee, 3 devotees there, they ran away.
Okay.
If they will inside, also they will burn out. But they will run out, and then they will save. And then today this is okay, but yesterday is very bad situation, because so many Hindus, property, they are caught fire, and also there are so many Hindu temples also attacked and burned out, and also so many Hindus business center that
Right.
caught fire, and then so many things did. But today is no problem. Today is okay. Today is no
Yeah,
problem.
but how are you keeping safe, Prabhuji? I mean, I want to talk about your safety, sir. You are there,
Okay.
and the temple was, of course, in Meherpur vandalized. But you, as an individual, sir, considering, how are you keeping yourself safe? Have the authorities given you some kind of an assurance, Prabhuji, that you're safe there?
Actually, here is no government management, like we are unsafety, because we are in temple. We have so many devotees, like our Dhaka temple is like 200 devotees.
Right.
And also Chattogram is like 150 devotees.
Yeah.
And then no police, no military, nothing is
right.
around us.
All right.
But we are still okay. But I don't know how long we'll save.
I'm sure something will be done, sir. I mean, we all live in eternal hope. Shubir Bhaumik, author and senior journalist. Mr. Bhaumik, welcome to the debate. Mr. Bhaumik, this is not the first time, and we've been hearing it since the 80s, 90s, the 2020. I remember Dinajpur, Chattogram, several other places where this kind of vandalization happens. Some may say this is a mob. The mob does not really check out on who you are. But I somehow think, Shubir Bhaumik, that this has been going on for such a long time. There is absolutely no respect, and despite a shared cultural milieu, Durga Puja, language, literature, etc., but somehow there is complete disdain for Hindus, Shubir Bhaumik.
No, I won't go with that. Complete disdain for Hindus. This is a political problem. Please try to understand that Hindus, who are between 8 to 10% of the population, still are a very decisive factor in at least 50 seats. Out of the 300 parliament seats in in Bangladesh, if 50 seats where Hindus are decisive factor, a very senior Awami League leader, Amir Hossain Amo, whose house has also been burned down yesterday, several of them actually have suffered as badly as the Hindus have. The point is, Amu Bhai used to tell me that if Hindus obviously vote for Awami, they don't have a choice. They won't go and vote for Jamaat or BNP.
Right.
If the Hindus are with us and they can vote freely, this is very important. If they can vote freely, then 50 seats, we can actually put up a banana tree, Kolagaj, and we will win the election. Now, this is a very important factor for the Islamist parties like BNP and Jamaat, that if the Hindus can freely vote, and they vote obviously for Awami League, then there is a huge problem for them to win. Awami League gets a huge lead straight away.
All right.
And
Okay.
therefore, there is a very organized planning in this whole thing. And today, when Hasina is gone, there is a feeling in the air that today or tomorrow there will be fresh elections. So this targeting, I've seen this before 2001 election, I've seen this again and again, that before an election, Hindus are targeted. Now, with Hasina gone, the feeling in the air is there will be sooner or later a fresh election.
All right.
So,
Hold your thought there. Mr. Bhaumik, let me bring the other guest also. Suhas Chakma, Director, Rights and Risk Analysis Group. Mr. Chakma, tell me something. Is it electoral? I mean, in many of the democracies, a certain minority group is treated like, en bloc, they will vote for a particular party or perhaps, not. But I think more than the political gains that one may get by either pushing the Hindus back or attracting them, I think it is more of a religious kind of a hatred which has been there in the air since the time of partition, I mean 1947, and it has never gone away, and I think it has become rather sharp. The knives have been sharpened also because now what is in the air is the Jamaat and Khalida Zia's BNP is going to be back in power. So therefore, I don't want to create panic. Therefore, the Hindus will be pushed back, Mr. Chakma.
Well, I think it's not politics. It surely is one of the factors which Mr. Subirda had mentioned. But I would say that the division of Bengal took place in 1905 based on religion, and it has not looked back in the past. And we have seen that in 1947, then in 1965 when India-Pakistan war took place, Pakistan brought Vested Properties Act. We also brought our own Vested Properties Act, and Vested Properties Act was used to systematically target and take away the lands of the Hindus. So, when the BNP is in power, BNP takes away the lands of the Hindus. When the Awami League is in power, Awami League leaders used to take away the lands. And in fact, even after the liberation.
Are you talking about enemy property, sir, Mr. Chakma?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the Enemy Properties Act. So
yes,
even after the independence of Bangladesh, when Mujib came to power, then he took over control of the lands, which was the Vested Properties Act. The Enemy Properties Act was in 1965, and you could see today, the lands could not be, handed back. So you could see the institutionalized discrimination there. If you scratch the surface, it exists there, and I think I expect there will be certain amount of uncertainty in the country. It is going to be very difficult to form the government. Then we will see the violence, and of course the minorities will be targeted.
All right, I have to take a break now. I'm sorry to interject, Mr. Chakma. Thank you for your patience, sir. But I'm taking a break, and after the break, when we come back, I'm going to also ask my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul about cultural, synergies, totally, language, religion, I mean not religion, but festivals, even Durga Puja is celebrated there. But this kind of a hatred. So what does it hinge on? See you after the break. We're talking about Bangladesh.
Have not quite lived up to their pre-tournament billing, delivering a series of less than convincing performances. For 2 draws and a solitary win.
Your son will be Messi. No studies, just football all day. Go, my son, go. Make my face shine through playing football.
Not only your face, but also the countries. I will conquer the world by playing football. Come, let's go to Germany!
World's largest football talent hunt, News9 Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BVB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
20,000 people dead and counting. What's happening in the United States of America is unprecedented. You will have to pay for this. From July 26 to August 11, the world's eyes will be on Paris. The City of Lights is hosting the biggest stars of the global sporting firmament at the Olympics.
I do expect us to do better than 7 medals.
I'm very excited because this would be my first Olympics, and let's see how it goes.
Ever since Rio 2016, it's been India's endeavour to cross double digits.
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Fast, 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 fast.
My God, isn't she your daughter?
Yes.
She's playing football. This is boys' game. Make her study. If she doesn't get a good job, she will get a good match. Will you win the world by playing football?
Yes, auntie. My daughter will win the world by playing football.
Let's go to Germany.
World's largest football talent hunt, News9 Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BVB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
All right, our focus on Bangladesh and particularly all eyes on Bangladeshi Hindus, and we joined by several guests and we've been speaking to them as to what is the status of Hindus living in Bangladesh. Let me now turn to my colleague Aditya Rajkal. Aditya Rajkal, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, one can say that it's true of Pakistan as well. We speak the same language, we eat the same food, but there is so much of animosity. Does it hinge on religion in Bangladesh? I mean, you can go on and say that they're important electorally, etc., etc. Not that there have been fair elections, one of the pain points for, but it is religious, isn't it?
You know, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind.
Let's just say it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that religion predominantly plays a critical role when it comes at least to BNP, the Jamaat and the radical forces that we are speaking about in Bangladesh. Well, you might criticize Sheikh Hasina. You might say that she was, a dictator. You might say that she was corrupt. You might say that she was inefficient, inept. She could not handle and manage the situation well and take, even her critics and those who opposed her together. Imagine Khalida Zia was imprisoned for 17 years in 2018, and she's been medically unfit and seriously ill. But for India, we have to choose the lesser evil. We have to choose perhaps the best among the worst. And in this case, you might be critical of Sheikh Hasina, but we have been great friends. We have honored and respected each other, and that is one of the factors that the BNP and the Jamaat see India as an enemy, I would go on to say. We would unfortunately see things unfold over the next few days and weeks, but the kind of horrific images that are visible on the agencies from Bangladesh are clearly indicating hatred for India. Perhaps the people are not able to understand that India was not trying to handhold Sheikh Hasina. She was an independent leader who came to power, has been in the opposition as well. And, India wasn't, the RNAW wasn't, trying to snatch some power from BNP and Jamaat. There's been rumors spreading deliberately by some radical elements that RNAW and India are still very much active in Dhaka and other places. This is unfortunately rubbish. This is disinformation and propaganda being spread to create fear psychosis among the people. There's nothing like this. Foreign Minister Jaishankar came out in the parliament and said that we are in touch with the authorities there. We expect Indian diplomatic missions, minorities
Right.
and Indians will be given security. But unfortunately, the minorities, including the Hindus, continue to be the target.
I mean, he straight from the hip, as it were. Charu Chandra Prabhuji is also with us. I want to ask you, Swamiji, that everyday life in Bangladesh, how is it for, you are someone who's a man of God, you are someone who's a Krishna Bhakt, but apart from that, I want to ask you, is it really tough for Hindus who live there, day in and day out, to be called out for the religion that they follow, sir?
Yes, this is a problem is when some government change and then election is coming, then the always problem. But we are not safe in Bangladesh because something happens sometimes, and then this minority person affected. That's why we are staying temple. We have no house. We are only staying temple, that we cannot go outside with like sadhu dress, like Saponkar. This is
that's not the way to live. You stay in the temple, but you are a man of God. I mean, I know some friends who had to come back. They were working in Bangladesh and they are back. And I am quoting them. I won't, that it is becoming very, very tough because you're called out. And particularly if you are a Bengali from West Bengal, they speak to you in that language, but then you're also called out. Ajit K. Jha, senior journalist, has also joined us. Ajit, tell me something. This kind of persecution of Hindus which has gone on in Bangladesh for the longest time, what do we expect of the government to do? Because it's the internal matter of another nation. We can't possibly interfere in their affairs. But look at it. It happens, it keeps happening, and today when the entire country is burning, this issue is something which really hurts, doesn't it? It's not just about temples and several other cultural centers. It's about our own people who are stuck there.
When Bangladesh was created, at that time there were two kind of forces. We always think that it was liberation of Bangladesh and the Awami League, which was the dominant party at that time, and India supported the Awami League. Mujibur Rahman's government came. So at that time, we in India thought that everyone in Bangladesh was happy with the creation of Bangladesh. But it seems there was a certain section of, extreme forces, which, part of it is the Jamaat Islami, part of it smaller other organizations, which actually wanted its links with Pakistan. They did not want the creation of Bangladesh. And that section earlier used to be a minority, suppressed. In fact, they were even banned a couple of times, right? Even recently. But right now, under the garb of the popular student movement against the Hasina government, they have raised their ugly head, and they are the ones going crazy, attacking minorities. They are the mobs. We are targeting the Hindus. They are targeting other minorities. They are targeting people who disagree with them, including the Awami League members.
Hold your thought, Ajit. You very well said. You've given me a point, Shubir Bhaumik. What Ajit K. Jha said right now, that there is still a kind of a section which did not want to kind of sever ties with Pakistan. And if I remember correctly, it was because Urdu was imposed and language became a big issue. They said we are Bengalis and therefore we cannot stay with West Pakistan. Do you think those forces and the residual forces of that is today those who still continue to persecute Hindus, Shubir?
See, when Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and his Awami League swept the elections in 1970, winning almost every seat in East Pakistan, except one or two. Yeah, even at that point of time, the Jamaat-e-Islami had a popular vote share of 15 to 20%. Now that has dwindled over the years in independent Bangladesh to 8 to 10%. But even the BNP, which sort of is an ally of the Jamaat-e-Islami, has very strong Islamist content. They have other people. BNP was a platform party created by General Zia, who actually looked to to control the Awami League and to keep it at bay, he looked to the fundamentalists, those rejected forces of 1971. He looked to them, brought them. He gave Jamaat. He reinstated Jamaat in Bangladesh politics and Islam by declaring Bangladesh Islam as the state religion, actually legitimized them. So the military dictators who followed in the wake of the coup, 1972 coup, legitimized this politics of religion or the Islamist politics, and Bangladesh politics, Ajit, is absolutely
all right.
right.
I'm sorry, Shubir, I'm getting some breaking news right now. I'll have to go to the breaking news, of course, which is coming from Bangladesh. The death toll in the fire at the 5-star Zabir International Hotel has now risen to 24 following an arson attack on the night of Monday. The hotel, which is owned by Shaheen Chakladar, General Secretary of Jashore District Awami League and Member of Parliament, was set ablaze by mobs around 11:30 p.m. according to A.M. Mamoon, Assistant Director of Jashore Fire Service and Civil Defence. The incident occurred in the wake of Sheikh Hasina's resignation as Prime Minister, which of course led to thousands of crowds taking to the streets in a celebratory mood. Major thoroughfares in the town were filled with people, and some of the crowds vandalized several landmarks, including a mural of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, a sculpture of Sheikh Russell, and the District Awami League office. Those are the visuals of the hotel that you see on your screen, the Zabir International Hotel. It's a very well-known 5-star hotel. 24 people have so far been killed. As usual, arsonists and those who were on the streets, the mob, they set fire to this hotel in Bangladesh. So that is the situation as of now. It's owned by Shaheen Chakladar in Jashore. All right, let's get back to this debate that we are talking about. Suhas Chakma, Director Rights and Risk Analysis. Do we have Suhas Chakma? Okay, all right. So we've lost the source to Mr. Chakma. Shubir Bhaumik, please continue. I'm sorry I had to interject.
Yeah, I know Shaheen Chakladar personally, and this is a classic example. In the last 24 hours, the death toll is at least 700, and I've got details. 32 temples have been attacked. Yeah, even churches have been attacked. 27 police stations have been attacked. Arms have been looted.
Right.
Now, this is not some student mob, which is going and doing this. You see, you have to understand, it started as a student movement. It was infiltrated by two sets of people. One, the typical goons, the lumpens, who got into this because they wanted to loot stuff. They wanted to use this opportunity. In Bangladesh, they are called Tokai. On the other hand, it's the BNP. BNP not so much because many of their Karyakartas have been in jail, but the Jamaat, who have been lying low, who have been fuming because they have been banned again, they got into this, and this political targeting, killing of policemen, hanged upside down, attacking Hindus, attacking and running away with weapons from the police station. This is a very systematic Jamaat move. The Jamaat has 4 armed groups, which, Al-Hazrat Academy, Raujan Squad, Azam Squad, and Shirkai Hindal in the
all right, okay. Shubir, let me come back to you. Aditya, I want to come to you. Hindus are there in Hindus and Christians, in Pakistan. You have it in Bangladesh. They are also in Mauritius. They are in Singapore. They are in the Maldives. They are in Malaysia. Why is it that this subcontinent of ours, there is a big problem so far as these two nations are concerned? It stands out for me because you have, you've been to Singapore many times. You have at Singapore airport Tamil script. They welcome you. Tamil is one of their official languages. All are Hindus. So I'm asking you that, and Sri Lanka saw a long bloodied war, but that was LTTE. I will not say that it was Hindu specific. But what is it, and why have subsequent governments been unable to do anything about it?
We'll have to go into the history to discuss this, and of course, these are tremors of the partition in many ways, and what the Britishers did to us. We were one people, we were one culture, we were perhaps eating from each other's plate. In many ways, we continue to do so, but there is hatred, there are boundaries, there are borders that have been created, and in this religious hatred especially, and especially, the kind of so-called Islamist revolution that they are talking about in certain parts of the world, it's dangerous. It's increasing, the radicalization is increasing, and for Hindus especially, it's unfortunately a wake-up call because, they are under attack and they are not able to unite and at least, put a brave face. On the other hand, I would say that, there are other minorities in Bangladesh that are under attack. We have significantly spoken about the Hindus, but there are Christians as well.
Yeah.
We were speaking about the ISKCON temple in Meherpur in the Khulna division that was under attack. Yesterday, I got a phone call from somebody who told me that there's a Christian family, their business house has been attacked, and they want to reach out to the army to seek help, and nobody has reached out to them. The mere fact that the Bangladesh army yesterday had to issue 30 to 40 emergency numbers of districts all across Bangladesh clearly indicates that the problem is deep. And this could have happened days ago as well. The violence against the minorities is not happening only for the last 24 hours. It's been happening continuously over the last few days.
Yeah.
But yet, the Sheikh Hasina government, the local administration, the army and the security forces were mute spectators to this carnage, this massacre that was happening on the streets of Bangladesh, and did nothing at all. Finally, my last point here with you, Sudha, is the fact, again holding the mirror to the society, saying that this is the reason that the CAA was introduced. There was a lot of misinformation about CAA, that rights, fundamental rights of Muslims in India would be taken away. False. Complete disinformation. CAA was for minorities in 3 Islamic republics that are India's neighbor, and minorities that are Hindus, that are Christians, that are Sikh, Buddhist, Parsis, who do not have any other place to go. This is the exact reason, the kind of rioting, the kind of selective targeting, the kind of carnage that the Hindus and Christians and others are facing right now in Bangladesh is the reason the government of India had the vision to bring in the CAA, and perhaps I hope that Pakistani minority Hindus have been given CAA certificates. I hope the cutoff date is increased from 2014, 2016 to further, so that other minorities who want to take advantage of the citizenship of India could also come to India.
On that note, let me take a break, but I'm coming right back, and we shall keep this the last section of the debate, as it were. We're discussing, are Hindus safe in Bangladesh? Don't go away.
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface, but not the living people?
Joe Biden is not going to be the Democratic presidential nominee.
I made my choice. Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds, predators. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
I am the one saving democracy.
He has tapped into the fear and anxiety about demographic change in the US.
This polarization in the United States. Some people are even suggesting that there could be a civil war.
You are this unable to solve your own domestic problems. You have no right to claim to be anybody else in the world, and we're moving into a multipolar world where the United States will not lead.
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Give it to me, fast. We'll put new glasses in the windows and they keep breaking it. This is the fourth time you are playing football throughout the day. Will you win the world by playing football?
Yes, uncle. I will now conquer the world by playing football. Let's go to Germany.
World's largest football talent hunt, News9 Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BVB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
All right, that's what we're discussing. All eyes on Bangladeshi Hindus. Ajit if I can have you on the screen, please. You know, Aditya, my colleague, spoke about, and he said there was disinformation so far as CAA was concerned. This is exactly what the government of the day was speaking about, and that being the persecuted Hindus. Those who belong to this country, went to live there for livelihood or any other reasons, and today stand there persecuted and want to return. Ajit Jha, today, even as we have horrific scenes unfolding in Bangladesh, do you think Hasina, who's seen as somebody who's pro-Hindu, pro-India, is also somebody who looked the other way when it came to persecuting Hindus in her own country?
No, I think Sheikh Hasina had always been what I would call a more all-inclusive Prime Minister. The trouble was that one section which I pointed out, which was anti-Awami League, the section which wanted its ties back with Pakistan, a section which was unhappy with the creation of Bangladesh, that was the section that she was not able to form a relationship with. She was not able to, persuade them to a more reasonable stand, and therefore ended up taking a tough stand, ended up banning the Jamaat Islami. It was banned twice, and that section are basically the Islamists in Bangladesh, and that was the section which was unhappy with Sheikh Hasina's what I would call secular rule, because after all, if you look at her quota policy had quotas for minorities, had quotas for 30% for those who had participated during the creation of Bangladesh, also for women, the kind of pro-women policies that Sheikh Hasina followed. That section, the Jamaat Islami did not like any of it. So the popular student movement, when it started on this issue of reservations, quota, which of course the Supreme Court had already reduced drastically, these people, the Jamaat, and in alliance with the BNP to some extent, though most of the BNP leaders are still arrested, they basically in a clandestine manner have used the students' movement, and they have brought the anarchy that we see on the screens, the way they are attacking the hotels, the way they are attacking Hindus, Christians, all other minorities. It is that Jamaat section which is totally Islamist.
All right.
And that is something that not only India but the world has to deal with.
Right. Shabir Bhaumik, what is the way forward? I mean, this persecution of Hindus, vandalization of temples, is it as easy as saying, listen, this is a mob and it happened, let's forget and carry on with this? Is that what is going to happen? Is it going to be a story which is going to be continued like one of the soap operas we see on television?
No, Sudha, I like your question. Did Sheikh Hasina pander to them? She did. What was this whole policy of trying to create 560 model mosques come Islamic cultural center? Bengali Muslims have never identified their culture with religion. They sing as much Tagore songs as we do.
Yeah.
But here was an attempt to consciously bring in the cultural life around the mosque, which was a project undertaken by the Sheikh Hasina government, inspired by very, very Pakistani-minded, fundamentalist-minded people like her own advisor Salman F. Rahman. How do you explain that? The man who supported Pakistan in 1971 ends up as an advisor in our advisory council. So, Sheikh Hasina went to the Hifazat headquarters before the last election, that is 218 elections, and gave an address from there. So, Sheikh Hasina also tried to sort of, have some kind of goody-goody relationship.
Yeah,
so that
Shubir,
these
Shubir, it reminds me of what Mrs. Gandhi did with Bhindranwale. Aditya, pretty much. You ride the tiger turns around and eats you up. Would you say that that is what it proves? So far as Sheikh Hasina is concerned, where she was also kind of harboring hardliners, fundamentalists like Shubir Bhaumik is saying. What has Islamic Cultural Center got to do with Bangladesh?
The problem here was that Sheikh Hasina was so much focused, narrow-visioned towards her power that she had to remain in power some way or the other, that she forgot that there could be some kind of an uprising, that there could be some vested interest either in Bangladesh or outside Bangladesh, a third country who would have been trying to instigate, who would have been trying to topple her government. And completely, a statesman, a visionary leader would have kept options ready, would have the army, the police and the judiciary behind her. What happened with Sheikh Hasina? The police betrayed her. The army, her own cousin, the army chief, betrayed her. You had the judiciary completely, not standing with her. In fact, the main reason, of course, Sheikh Hasina is being targeted, it is the judiciary that brought in the reservation and the quotas. And in fact, the blame of this entire thing went on Sheikh Hasina. In fact, it was Sheikh Hasina many years ago who had withdrawn this quota entirely. True. And she became, I wouldn't say scapegoat, because she has committed a lot of sins according to the Bangladeshi people, but she became a scapegoat in this entire process, and she certainly did not have the vision to see that her own people would stand against her, and at the last moment, as a last resort, asking her cadres to come out as a counter protest or a counter attack against Jamaat and BNP is certainly not going to work out in a democratic functioning also, and at a time when there's a widespread uprising and violence that's ongoing.
All right, and that's all I have time for. My thanks are due to Charu Chandra Prabhuji. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us from Dhaka, sir. Hare Krishna, and I hope you stay safe. Shubir Bhaumik, spoken eloquently as always, author and senior journalist. Suhas Chakma, also thanks are due to you, sir, and Ajit Kejha, as always. Wonderful having you on the show. Last, the Hindus need to remain safe. They need to remain united, and I hope there is no more arson and vandalism towards them, because I'm not saying it, but it is one of lots of experts have said, and theologists, that it is one of the most peaceful religions. So let it be the way it is. Thank you for watching.
इस खेल में अकेला हो, हर नहले पे दहला हो।